So one of the example which we have seen here is the home page where the content is different. Some sliders are going on. There is some banner here which is there for search. Some sections are here which is talking about our courses. These are also using some of the images, right? So behind this there is an HTML which we have seen. This HTML looks like this one. So all this HTML is coming from the server only. Now if you see, there are some URLs also inside this HTML, and what's those URLs are? Some CSS. If you see, this is some font related CSS which is coming in, maybe some other additional CSS which are there, and these CSS are also there, right? So what these CSS are doing, so if I go to the web page, I'll do inspect. Sumit will cover this topic later on when he'll be starting with the skeleton model of the HTML CSS. But for your knowledge, what I'm going to do is I'm just removing all these CSS from here, right? And observe what's happening to the web page. You notice how this web page was looking earlier and now how the shape this page has taken, right? So the HTML which was there, which looks like this is the code which was being served from the server and sent back to the client, which is your browser, right? When you execute this HTML on the browser, this HTML looks like this one. So these are some of the sections which are visible on the web page. And until and unless you don't beautify it, when I talk about you don't beautify it, I talk about the CSS, right? So whatever the CSS which I have removed, that was basically responsible for placing each and every section onto a different areas of the web page, right? See how this navigation looks like now when I have removed the CSS, and how it was earlier when I see this web page. It's a very nice formatted structure which is very pleasant to your eyes and very readable to you, right? So I'm just trying to make you understand the role of HTML and CSS all together, right? HTML basically builds up your content on the page and the sections which you create, and the placements and the look and feel, all those sections would be defined by the CSS only. So if I refresh this web page again, all those CSS would be coming back and this page has taken a nice shape again, right? So my browser, which is my Chrome, my Firefox, or whatsoever browser is, all those browsers are only understanding my HTML and CSS, right? It's not only that we have pulled up the HTML and CSS on the browser, and whenever it is coming to your browser, everything is looking nice and fine and my web page is built up. Behind the scenes, there are a lot many things are happening on the browser itself, right? That you will need to understand from the front end perspective, how you can improve the page performance from the front end only, right? It's not only about you have put up, आपने कुछ HTML और CSS सर्वर से पुल कर लिया, समथिंग इज हैपनिंग ऑन द सर्वर, वहाँ पे हमने अपने वेब पेज को बहुत अच्छे से ऑप्टिमाइज कर लिया है, बहुत अच्छी परफॉर्मेंस है उसकी वहाँ पे, एंड देन वेब पेज इज कमिंग ऑन टू द फ्रंट एंड विच इज़ योर ब्राउजर, विच इज़ योर क्लाइंट, everything is sorted. No, this is not the case. On front end as well, you have to make your HTML and CSS to behave in a more optimized manner, right? आपके पेज का परफॉर्मेंस इट वुड बी लाइक कि आपने बस क्लिक किया और सब कुछ बहुत जल्दी से और बहुत अच्छे तरीके से एक यूज़र को प्रेजेंट किया गया है. प्रेजेंटेशन इज़ वेरी 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 इंपॉर्टेंट इन वेब, राइट? हमारी जनरल लाइफ में भी वेन एवर वी टॉक अबाउट एनीथिंग, हम मार्केट में कुछ भी लेने जाएं, एनीथिंग, यू गो टू अ फ्रूट शॉप, you go to buy a car, or you go to buy a house, whatever you want to buy in the market, right? You want something to look good, right? The first glance which you will have at the product is it's a good looking product, right? Same goes with your websites only, right? Until and unless your website is not looking good, nobody would be liking to come to your website. They won't be seeing your website anymore after one's visit, right? So that good looking part which we are talking about is basically done with the help of HTML and CSS only, right? The CSS is basically designing your website. It is a kind of makeup you are doing to your web page, and HTML is basically helping you to build up all the sections which are there. Maybe the header part, this navigation part, this is the slider part, which is hero banner we talk about, and this is the body content, which is about us and other courses which you have on the web page, right? Now we'll see where the JavaScript was basically lying. We talked about HTML and CSS, which was getting pulled from the server, but where the JavaScript is lying. So there might be some files present here by the name of .js, right? Some file name and .js. So these JavaScripts are basically playing the functional part on your web page. How the functional part we talk about? Let me go to a page, facebook.com. If I click on login, some errors are coming. And notice here, when I click login, this page is refreshing. See, right? So what this is happening is, on the click of this button, I am raising a request. I am raising a request from a client. Why I am calling it client? Because I am a Chrome browser. This is my client. I have a web page for the login, right? There is a button and I am clicking on it. When I click on it, this request is going to the server. If you see here, on this machine, this is here I am, right? From my laptop, I am clicking a button. A request is going to the server and it is saying, hey server, hey facebook.com, I am trying to log in on to you. Kindly allow me your access, right? This server saying your access denied. Why access is denied? Because you have not entered your valid username and password, right? Now observe the behavior, what is happening here. I have clicked the button on this client. Request is going to the server. Server is basically processing your information, whatever the username and password you have provided, and it is answering you, right? So whenever server is answering you, it means it is taking some time. The request is coming to the server, it took some time. The server is responding back to you, it is also again taking some time, right? How I can make it faster so that user shouldn't have to wait, right? There could be some more possibilities by which I can basically improve the user experience. So what we can do is, हम यहाँ पे क्या कर सकते हैं, जब आप यहाँ पे लॉगिन पे क्लिक करो, I know कि जब मैं ये रिक्वेस्ट सर्वर को भेजूं, then I should have the email address and password entered into these two boxes, right? These two input boxes. अगर ये चीज़ मैं यहीं क्लाइंट पे ही चेक कर लूँ, rather than sending my request to the server, I think this would be more convenient and it would be more useful for the users. उनको यहीं पे error मिल जाए, hey user, you have not entered your username, maybe you have not entered your password, or maybe your username is incorrect, some invalid email address or phone number you have entered, right? So वो चीज़ अगर मैं यहीं client side पे check कर लूँ, rather than sending my request to the server, I think that would be creating a more impact on the users who are coming onto the website, and they'll be having a more user-friendly experience, so that we are not wasting their time. जो भी मैं यहाँ पर analyze कर सकता था, I am able to analyze all those things and I am sending a relevant data to the server, so that वो जो checks मैंने server पे जाके लगाए थे, वो checks मेरे client side पे लग जाए, right? There JavaScript plays a very important role, right? With the help of JavaScript on your browser itself, you can identify whether user has entered their username or password or not, right? Also you can check whether the email address or phone number they have entered is valid or not. Now there are two things. When I say email and phone numbers are valid or not, right, it doesn't mean that it is checking that I am a registered user on the Facebook, and that is wrong. It's not like so, because the server has only the capability to check the data, whether that data is present on the server or not. On the client side, what I can check is that whatever the format of the email address which I have entered, maybe abc@test.com. This is the like format of the emails, right, which we used to use in our daily life. Maybe gmail.com, maybe yahoo.com, maybe @.co.in, right? So these kind of formats we can check here, and it should be a valid email address and the password as well. Something is entered valid here. Only then I am sending the request to the server. Server will be processing the information whether you have a valid username or password or not, and then it is responding back, yes, you are valid. Then it will make you log in. If not, you can't. For an example, on this website, I am going to my contact us page. Here it is. Now see, I have not entered anything into the any of the field, right? I am clicking contact us. So what it's doing is it's saying, please fill in this field, right? So on the client side, all the error checks are happening, right? And this is all being done with the help of JavaScript. We are not sending the request to the server, and instead we are checking everything on the client side itself, so that it is helping me. I'm entering my name Tanuj. I'm not entering anything else. I'm entering email. So I'm writing Tanuj@Gmail only. Again, if I click, it is sending the request. So now what it is doing is, it has not checked the valid email format. This is the error with this web page, right? So with the help of JavaScript, we can basically check the formats here, right? So
Tanuj,
now we understand. Yes, please.
Tanuj, one thing I want to add over here.
Mhm.
Client side validations which you are talking about, we can have two parts of it. This is for everyone. We can have HTML side validations.
I'm coming to that point, Sumit.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, thank you so much.
yeah. So I'm just trying to make them understand the role of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Why only these three things are pulled up from the server, right? So these three things are basically building up your web page. Only these three things. That's why we are pulling only HTML, CSS, and JavaScript from your server. And this is your client server architecture. There is no role of PHP, .NET, Java on your browser side. No role at all. These your browsers which are lying on your machines, who are basically clients, basically understand your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And what Sumit was mentioning here, the form which I have presented to you here, if I am clicking on this kind of validation which we have, this is purely done with the help of HTML only. So this is the feature of HTML5, right? Which we are basically using. This can be done with the help of JavaScript as well, right? So this was just an example which I wanted to make you understand how we can use this JS and HTML and CSS here. That's what I was trying to explain you. I think this is all about what we have in clients and server. If any one of you have any questions, you can raise your hand or you can call out.
Before that, Tanuj, can you also show a ping procedure from terminal to ping any website to show the
Yeah,
IP
sure.
mapping?
Terminal you're talking about?
Yes, yes.
I think my terminal won't be visible. Is it visible to you all? Or I need to share my screen again?
No, it's not visible.
Okay, let me share my screen again. Is it visible now? Okay. So I think, Sumit, you want them to understand how the domain name is basically turning into a IP address, right?
Right.
So everyone, this is my terminal from where I can write some of the commands on my local system on my client. So if I try to ping facebook.com, so I'm saying, hey terminal, just go and check whether facebook.com server is working or not, right? So ping is one of the command which is basically used to access facebook.com, and it will check whether it is working or not. So if I write this on my terminal and click enter,
CMD.
you'll see there is some IP address, right? behind the scene which I was talking about. So this facebook.com is having this IP address, which is the public IP. So there are two types of IP, public and private, which we'll try to understand later on. But there is some IP which is working behind the scenes,
अलग होता है,
and
बात
that
नहीं करना।
IP belongs to the
गलत नहीं।
facebook.com. Likewise, if I try to ping creative
अभी क्या बताया मैंने, दो कौन से?
animation
पब्लिक और प्राइवेट।
technologies
ये पब्लिक हुआ ना,
dot com.
प्राइवेट तो फिर कोई पर्टिकुलर।
स्टैटिक और डायनामिक आईपी होता है, वो
This
अलग
is
चीज़ है,
not
वो अलग कंसेप्ट है।
dot co dot in.
पूछना तो पूछ लियो, पूछ लो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। अरे डाउट्स क्लियर कर।
Creative animation technologies. Maybe some spelling mistake I might be doing.
No, it was .org.
.org is also not working. Creative animation technologies. Maybe some other name, or I can say ping google.com. Let's have some valid IP address, right? So this IP address is different than what we have here for Facebook, right? So this clearly state, right?
It could be that the certificate is not resolved for creative animations, Tanuj.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's saying unknown host. Maybe the spelling mistakes I might be doing. This is not certificate, I think.
I believe for certificate issues as well, it gives the same error.
Okay.
Not 100% sure, but we can test it out.
Sure, I'll check that. Yeah. This was all about client server architecture, Sumit, and everyone. Over to you, Sumit.